Because the truth of the matter is, your anger isn't punishing them, it's actually hurting you. Welcome to my new series titled The Art of Letting Go. In the past, when I have held grudges, I held grudges because I felt like that was me righting the wrong that had been somehow done to me, right? I felt like that was my way of keeping them accountable when there was no justice. And I only discovered that through journaling, right? I was journaling out my feelings. One thing I learned is that anger is very powerful. I learned that anger is also a protective mechanism. Sometimes by being angry, it was as if we're ensuring that nobody could ever do that thing to you again. Nobody could ever hurt you again, right? I realized over time that unforgiveness was not hurting them, it was hurting me. That unforgiveness that was not addressed, that was not dealt with, was dealing with me, and it started to show up in other aspects of my life. And not just that, it began to morph into other things, because that unforgiveness turned into anger, and that anger turned into rage, and that rage turned into bitterness, and those type of things can make you extremely toxic. The thing I want to say about anger, like, are you wrong for being angry? Absolutely not, because that's a human emotion. That's part of the human experience. But anger, when it's unchecked, yeah, that's an issue. Because even though, let's say, you may be angry at the other person, some of us don't even realize, them people might be sleeping good at night. They somewhere slobbing and turning over and breaking wind. Them people is having a ball in they sleep, okay? And you sitting up here mad, you upset, you feeling the ways, you tossing and turning because that thing that happened, like, it's playing over and over again in your mind, and you haven't let it go. But I tell you what, there's this saying that you can make a deal with the devil, but you don't get to choose how he come back to collect. And the same thing, I feel like, goes with anger. Like, you could choose to be angry, to stay angry. You could choose to, hold a grudge and not forgive. But you can't get mad at that particular emotion when it come back to collect, when it come back to bite you. Like, you can't feel no type of ways, and it may manifest itself up in sicknesses and ailments, diseases, like, anxiety. Some diseases are brought on by unresolved emotions, y'all. The body keeps count. Like, we store emotions in our body, and it manifests in diseases and illnesses. And so when you have an unresolved issue with somebody, when you got a grudge, when you hold on to that thing can come out in different forms. It doesn't have to come out with you lashing out at them. You could be holding on to it, smiling in their face, greeting them, hell, even sleeping next to them, sleeping with them. But just know, if that is still in there, and I ain't saying you got to, how we deal with things are different, because there is no one size fits all. That's just what I believe. To do what works for you. First of all, you have to seek your medical health professional and see what is the best way for you to get over a grudge, unforgiveness, anger, and deal with those emotions. I just know that if you do not deal with those things, they will manifest, they will come out in show up in different ways in different areas in your life that you may not be even cognizant of. Okay, what if I want to forgive a person? What if I want to get over this, and then this person is not even giving me an apology? I want to say this. There may be times in your life that you might experience in which you had something going on with the person. You may not ever get an apology. So are you going to stand right there and wait on that person who did XYZ element of P to you, made you feel some type of way? Are you going to stand right there in that place of unforgiveness, anger, bitterness, right? Like it has steps, and you're moving from one step to another step. Let's just say this is peace. This is the actual pain. This is the betrayal. This is the unforgiveness. This is the rage, right? This is the bitterness. And the more you hold on in that thing, you going from step to step to step to step, moving further away from peace. You moving further away from peace because you're holding on to that thing. And the longer you hold on to it, the more it's going to morph, and it's going to change, and it is going to alter into something else. And I don't think that that is fair to you, because you may be sitting here waiting on, going from step to step to step, waiting on them to apologize, waiting on them to have of course, a change in behavior, right? Because that's important, because you can't tell somebody they hurt you and they're still doing the same thing, because then we know that now you just being an anus, and you really don't care about me for real. You just care about yourself. Like, you're just being selfish. Like, you're not even modifying the behavior. I told you that was painful or angering or upsetting to me in the first beginning, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about you, because we can only control ourselves. So what I am saying is that when you move from step to step to step, when you move away from the actual, the infliction, the betrayal, then you're moving on to the grudge, the unforgiveness, then you're moving on to anger, then you're moving on to rage, then you're moving on to bitterness, right? You're moving away from what God designed for you to have, right? He said, my peace I give to you, not as the world give it, but as God give it to you. That's what I leave with you. And the more that we hold on to that thing, to people who don't give us an apology, you may never get an apology. So should you be left out of his will because you never received an apology? They may not never apologize to you. See, I realized myself, when I didn't accept an apology, when I didn't move on, I felt like that if I forgave this person, then that means that we got to start back talking again. We got to pick up where we left off. See, you can apologize to a person and never have to fool with them again. You can forgive them and never have to fool with them again. I forgive you for what you did, but I don't have nothing for you. See, we think just because, okay, yeah, I truly forgive that person. I release them. I release that hurt. I release that betrayal. I release that thing, that betrayal or that hurt, that pain that they inflicted on me. I release that. That's no longer gonna hold me hostage, right? So some of us, I know I have felt like that, but some of us feel like if we let that go, then they get off scot-free. They still got to pay for what they did to you. You may not see it, you may even see it, but I have seen with thine own eyes, when you let go and you let God take vengeance on your behalf, I've seen what I have had to pray, God, please make it easier for them, because it was hard for me to watch them get their butt kicked the way they was getting their butt kicked. That's when you let God get revenge for you. Oh. Yeah. When you release it and you give it to him, baby, you'll be somewhere praying for your enemies, because you wouldn't wish that even on them, okay? And my last point is, your ability or your choice to forgive them does not absolve them for the wrong that they did to you. That doesn't absolve what they did. But that simply means that you're no longer going to carry it around. Because again, a wise woman told me, baby, whatever in you gonna come out you. And so that doesn't absolve them of what they did, but that simply means you release it from you, because you do not want the pain, the baggage. You don't want that extra weight that comes with that. That's too much. You want to be free. You want to experience that peace that God promises his people. And you cannot get that peace that God promises his people if you are carrying dead weight with you. Some of us been carrying, I know I had to be honest and be real, some of us carrying stuff from a really, really long time ago. Like things that happened right? And if it even ain't even that, some of us carrying stuff from last week that's really, you know, in hindsight of things, like it's really not that serious, but it's serious to us, or we just may not know how to process our emotions. It really truly may not be that big of a deal, but because we were never taught how to regulate our emotions, everything is magnified. It could be something simple, but everything is magnified, right? And that's why I feel like therapy and getting professional help is very important. And I know this is very taboo in certain cultures. I know it's very taboo in the Black community. And I just really want to encourage us to get the help that we don't think that we need. I will say this about therapy: therapy ain't for everybody. I have seen what therapy have drove folks up the darn nabbit wall, and therapy is just not for everybody. Therapy is not always the answer for everything. And there are some people, honey, they you know, that just doesn't work for them. But I would encourage, find out what works for you. Find out what works for you. Get with your doctor and find out what works for you. And if CBT is not for you, then find some mode of healing that will help you along your journey to forgiveness. All right. Okay. I hope that you enjoyed this first video of my 8-part series, The Art of Letting Go. The Art of Letting Go. Understand that I am not perfect on this journey. I am learning as I am coming before you guys to lecture you on these things as well. Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you guys in the next video. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.